What's going on, guys? Decoration Dude here, and today I have a really neat video on this Gemmy life-size brain monster. Now this is the Walmart variant. I think it was also sold at Garden Ridge, but this is the Walmart variant. It was also sold along with the Edwardian Butler. I actually don't have the Edwardian Butler from Walmart. I have a different variant because he was sold in numerous different places and online and stuff. But this guy, he's got a lot going on. He's a very animated character, even though he doesn't have like body side to side movement. He does have a lot going on still. I actually got this guy about a year ago, last August, off of Facebook. I had the guy agreed to ship it to me, and I paid $100 for the brain monster and then another $100 for shipping. Now, I actually have lost a lot of money on this guy because the guy didn't know how to, this works at all. He didn't know how to stand him up. He didn't know how to take the head off. So he actually shipped it. This is what I believe happened. He shipped it with the head poking out of the box. And workers at UPS tried to get the fit back in the box and ended up snapping the head off. And if you didn't know, I mean, these brain monsters have very common for the back of the head to get very brittle and yellow and just completely shatter. I think it's because they use the cheaper plastic on the back of the head and use a little bit stronger stuff on the front, since the front has to hold all the motors in place and everything. But yeah, I mean, not only was the head snapped off when I got him, but the box was just completely roughed up and had holes in it. It looked like someone punched it or something. I've taped it up to kind of make it look nicer, but it was just absolutely destroyed. And I'll include some pictures of what he looks like when I got him, what he looks like before shipping, and, you know, some clips of the repair process. And it was pretty aggravating, even though I didn't really spend a whole lot of money on them, because these do go for maybe like $300 to $400 on eBay. I wouldn't necessarily pay that much for this guy because he is fairly common, but I thought it was a pretty good deal for $100. So I was pretty aggravated. It took a very long time, but I did end up getting my $100 bucks back for the actual item, but they did not refund me for shipping. I had to go through contact UPS, and it was a whole ordeal because not only was UPS being stubborn about it, because obviously they didn't want to give up money, but the guy who shipped it to me was also not being very cooperative and ended up trying to block me and stuff. But I did end up getting $100 back, and I did mention that I lost more money on this guy, and that's because I ended up I wanted the head done professionally, and at the time I didn't really have the means to do it professionally. I wanted like a whole back part 3D printed, and I know that seems like a little rough or hard to do, and you know, my perspective on it was it didn't have to be exactly like the original. All I needed was a shape to form the mask to attach to the back of the head. That's all I needed. And I feel like that's completely doable for a reasonable price. And I ended up shipping it the head to Kai. Some of you may know him off the Facebook groups. He does Halloween prop repairs. Highly, highly do not recommend doing any sort of business with him. He's very unprofessional. And ended up wasting a lot of my time and money. So he was in possession of this head for like 3 or 4 months, I believe, and I ended up having to ship it back and forth 2 or 3 times, and you know, each way was like $14, and it's just really unfortunate. And I mean, really nothing got done whatsoever. The only thing he really helped me out with was the 3D printed new mouth, because the mouth was shattered as well. I'm kind of worried about that because it seems like it's very weak. I don't know if it's gonna last, but it's working now. So yeah, I don't recommend doing business with him. And I mean, I could go on a rant for about 30 minutes about everything that happened with that whole experience, but now's not the time for that. It was just very aggravating, but I ended up getting him back, and that's why you didn't see him in my Halloween display, actually, is because I was not in possession of this guy during that time, and I was actually promised that I would have it back by Halloween, and you know, a whole bunch of other stuff, but I'm not going to get into it. But I'm going to go ahead and get into the item itself. It's fully working mechanically, cosmetically, and, you know, it's not in the, you know, most perfect shape. It's got like a rip in the mask, and his eyelids don't close all the way, but honestly, I'm tired of messing with them and too lazy to open it back up and try to figure that out. I believe it's the motor getting a little weak, but unless something else breaks, I'm not gonna mess with that. So it works good enough for me. And like I said, I mean, I had to repair the arms, everything in the head, and the lights worked, but I finally got this guy put back together, and I thought I was done with him, and then the lights in the brain stopped working. So I had to open him back up and fix that. And like I said, the back of his head was completely shattered. His head doesn't look perfect, but it's good enough. And I kind of what I did is I took a spirit ball and I took the back half of that, kind of cut it up to a similar shape of what his original backing would have been. And then I kind of glued it and taped it on there, and it does work. It is not, you know, very strong like the original one was, and there's kind of it's a little squishy. There's not as much, it doesn't fill it up like it should, but it does work. And, you know, from a distance you can't really tell. But like I said, his head does look a little wonky. Like up here you can kind of tell it's not formed all the way like it should be. But it looks good enough to me, honestly. And in general, I'm just kind of done with this prop. I don't really want to spend any more time on it when I could be spending time on other things. I do have a lot of really cool things I need to make videos on, so stay tuned for that. But this guy here, I'm gonna go ahead and demo him. So yeah, his eyelids, like I said, there's something a little weird with them. Sometimes they close, sometimes they don't. Not exactly sure why that is. On YouTube, I've seen some that will, when he turns off, the eyelids close. I've also seen some where when he like's done being activated, the eyelids stay open. Not too sure why that is. Maybe different models. But like I said, I'm just kind of done messing with mine. So it is what it is for right now.
What happened? We can remember. Drill, saw, head. No! 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 Not again! Treat? You bring sweet treat for I? Want more treat? No! From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast, the ghouls all came from their humble abodes to get a jolt from my electrodes. Yeah! They did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It got on in a flash. They did the monster mash. The mummies were having fun. The party had just begun. The guests included the Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. They did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It got on in a flash. They did the monster mash.
So yeah, like I said, there you go, the eyelids now. Not exactly sure why that is. Probably the motor getting weak, and it probably could use a re-greasing, but like I said, I'm not really in the mood to kind of go back in the head. One thing I am kind of noticing right now is that his arm over here does look a little, or his shoulder I should say, looks a little wacky. That is something I'll probably go back and adjust a little bit. Part of the reason for that is his arm needs to be positioned a little more, and another reason is because the foam in here kind of got, for some reason, got pushed up in there. I don't know why. And it's also very flat from, you know, just how old it is. That looks a little better. It still needs to be adjusted, but that's nothing major at all. And one other thing I would like to point out about this guy is he retailed at Walmart for $124.88, which is an absolute steal for what this guy does. I mean, you know, you get the mouth movement, you get the eyes, both moving side to side, the blinking, the head turn, the lights, the arm movement. I mean, they went all out, and he sings the Monster Mash. If you guys didn't know, the prototype of this actually also had another song programmed in, which is really cool. I wish we would have got that, but still very happy with the Monster Mash. And not only does he have all the movements, but he has a very detailed costume with several different pieces, and I mean, they just went all out with this guy. They did a really good job. And this is, you know, when you think of Gemmy life-size characters and you're not really considering, you know, the licensed stuff, this is probably what comes to mind for most people. Like, you know, oh, it's Brain Monster. I would say this guy or Dr. Shivers is really what comes to mind when you think classic Gemmy characters. But yeah, here he is, Brain Monster, and like I said, I do have some really cool videos to make here soon. I just got to find some time to do that. And I'm really glad that I was finally able to get a video out on this guy. It's been a long ride with this guy, but he's here, and he's somewhat fully working. I mean, I guess I would say he is fully working. He's just not in perfect condition. But yeah, there he is, the Gemmy life-size Brain Monster, and thanks for watching. Alrighty, so here's kind of what's going on with the Brain Monster. So I got this off Facebook, had it shipped to me, and it was just, I believe it was just completely destroyed in shipping, or the seller really didn't know how to pack it, because he did say he didn't know how to get it to stand up. He just pushed down on the shoulders, but the box was completely destroyed. I kind of fixed it up as best I could, but as you can see, I have this whole thing taken apart, and it's a pain in the ass to work on because it just has so much going on. So the motor for the arms was completely disconnected and just hanging. The shaft that connects to the parts that move the arms is in the box. I have parts to it in the box, and that's because this screw holder right here was completely snapped off somehow. I don't know how, but it was. So I'm gonna try to glue it up. Don't worry, I'm gonna put more reinforcements on it, and then hook this back up. And then the whole back of the head is just completely shattered. And don't stop there, because the mount has a split gear. Something's wrong with the eye, this eyelid. And you look in here, I don't know if you can really see it that well, but that shaft right there is supposed to be for the eyelid that's messed up. It's not even in there. So I don't even know how that happened. So it's gonna need a lot of work, and in shipping, this whole thing cracked. A lot of the parts are missing to it, actually. This actual back of the head, I don't know where the rest of it went, but it busted open, and then this part, the bottom part, ripped off. The bottom part was actually still attached to this upper shoulder part, and all these wires ripped off, as well as the one of the wires for the LED, which I'm about to fix. But yeah, I mean, it's just gonna need a lot of work, and I don't know. I know that green wire goes to the other side of this motor. I don't know which wires go to what for because there's the motor for the eyes, and then the motors for the eyelids, and I don't know what wires go to what. So, oh yeah, the thumb is also cracked. It's gonna need a lot of work. Here's some of the other parts. Face. But yeah, just thought I would insert a little clip of, you know, all the repairs it needed, and it's gonna need a new backing 3D printed, so I'm gonna have to send that to Kai to get 3D printed. But I just thought I would show you guys the whole process of getting this thing fully working. But yeah. Alrighty, so another little update on the brain monster. I have the mouth mechanism out. It had a split gear. That's been replaced. The actual mouthpiece will need to be 3D printed, I believe. I have the eyes all apart. One of the backing to one of the eyes, it's actually, let's see if I can show you. That piece right there on this eye was not fitting in there correctly, and that was causing the eye just to kind of flop around wherever it wanted to, so I just put a little bit of glue on that, as you might be able to see right there. Hopefully it'll hold. And then the shaft that was out for the eyelids, I put that back in. So yeah, after this dries I have to put it all back together, and I'm gonna check for split gears, but pretty much I'm just trying to get everything I can repaired on it before I ship it out, and get the back 3D printed and the mouth 3D printed and stuff. But yeah, this will probably be the last update where you see it in a whole bunch of pieces. Alrighty, so here's another little update on the brain monster. I finally have made some major progress on it. After several months of this repair going on, it's a long story, and I'll probably explain a little bit of it, but pretty much everything in this upper half of him was just completely broken. Originally it started with all the wires off, and I ran into a whole bunch of other issues along the way, and then someone ended up replacing this motor for me. Well, it ended up being that the motor that was put into here by someone I paid to fix this was bad. It did not work. So both motors ended up being bad for the eyes and the eye blinking. The mouth motor has always been good. And then it still wasn't working. So my next, the next thing I decided to tackle was the male aux cord right here. So I got a new one off of Home Depot, and still nothing. So I'm like, all right, so maybe it wasn't the male aux, but the other one ended up breaking anyways. So I replaced the female aux, and after that, after I placed both the male and female aux and both motors in the head, it finally starts. The eyes start moving. So I'll just go ahead and kind of show you. And there we go. He is working. So pretty much all there is to do now is kind of get them all assembled.